Our scripture for this evening will come from the writings of Paul to the church at Ephesus. We will look at Ephesians chapter 3, and I'd like for you to look at verse 16 as an important verse in understanding the message for this evening. Ephesians chapter 3, and the verse is number 16. There we read these words: that he would grant you, according to the riches of his glory, to be strengthened with might by his Spirit in the inner man, that he might strengthen you, that you might be strengthened, that your inner man may become better. That's the emphasis that we see in this particular passage. Now, I want you to set that aside for just a moment and think about some of the experiences that we have in our everyday life. In particular, think about some of the things that we see in both print and digital media, as well as on the big screen and on the small screen. We're constantly seeing things in regards to our exterior image. If you watch TV long enough, you might get depressed about how you look. Because people on television and movies seem to have the perfect bodies, the perfect skin, the perfect hair, the perfect look. Sometimes we lose sight of the fact that they have had much done to touch up and digitally enhance and to make those images appear something that is not true to who those people are. We see photos in magazines. Then we watch commercials that are constantly telling us about age-defying products, beauty-enhancing cosmetics. We see people going to exercise clubs to work out. And we hear fancy marketing terms that make us think that we need to buy into a product. I saw a commercial recently about a body lotion, and it mentions how it has hyaluronic acid in it and how that's good for the skin. None of us really know what hyaluronic acid is, but it just sounds good to hear a lotion commercial talking about that. Psychology today has given an understanding in regards to these images and say that the more images we see, the more shame we tend to feel about ourselves, because we're constantly being told that we don't measure up. And psychologists have been able to demonstrate that as we compare ourselves to others, it actually has a negative effect on both our self-image as well as the social relationships that we have with others. When we compare ourselves to others and we see ourselves as less because somebody has the long flowing hair, someone has the toned muscles and the perfect abs, someone's skin is glowing, it actually contributes to a self-imposed sense of depression and a depleted self-esteem. If in the case when we compare ourselves to others, we feel ourselves to in some way look better, to be better, that superiority, that dismissive attitude actually causes us to distance ourselves from others, as the superior minded person does not want to be associated with a person who they see as beneath them. There's so much said not only about our bodies, but about fashion. We feel that we need to have name brand things to feel good about ourselves. In all of this, we have to recognize that some of the best marketing people were not necessarily business majors, but were psychology majors. They have delved into the psyche of man and woman and have learned how to positively impact the bottom line by negatively impacting our sense of self to get us to buy into products and services designed to make us better. When we go back to Ephesians chapter 3 and verse 16, how ironic or how intentional the Lord is not about the exterior, but about us being strengthened in the inner man. When was the last time you saw a commercial, saw something in print or digital media, something on the big screen or small screen that talked about just becoming a better you? Maybe you have some imperfections in your physical body, as we all do. But when was the last time a person just wanted to become a better person? Just a sweeter personality, more loving, more kind, more considerate. As we are worn and weathered by life, there are times that we need to be strengthened in the inner man. How about praying to God for this type of strength, this inner strength, that may have no effect on cosmetic beauty, but the beauty of character, the beauty of a person who has depth and substance to who they are? To be strengthened in the inner man is for God to help us to become more faithful. The word faithful does not reference believing in God. The word faithful means being trusted by God. Can God trust us to be timely? Can He trust us to keep our word? Can He trust us to serve and worship Him as He has commanded in the Scriptures? Being strengthened in the inner man means being more spiritual, that is, more Christ-like. When was the last time we looked in the spiritual mirror? Not to see if our accessories match our wardrobe, not to see if we put on lotion with hyaluronic acid, but when was the last time we examined ourselves to see, do we talk like Christ? Do we act like Christ? Do we walk like Christ? How about being more humble, being more forgiving? What about being more knowledgeable of God and more wise in our decision making? Here's something that will really help the inner man. All of us have battle wounds and scars in life. We have been emotionally hurt and harmed by others, as well as the experiences of life. We have become weakened by bearing the burdens of life. How about spending some time on the inner man and asking God to help us to be healed? Not bitter. When we talk about being healed on the inner man, being in a good place, being in a place where we're no longer triggered by events of the past, we're no longer bothered by enemies, we're no longer hurt by circumstances that we have dealt with. Sure, we can buy all of these products, we can buy all of these services to help the outer man. And the only problem with that is that the outer man may become better while the inner man becomes worse. But the outer man is destined to die. The Bible teaches it is appointed unto man once to die, then comes the judgment. So all of the beauty that we put on the outside, it may have some measure of value. The only thing that really happens is the person who works obsessively on the outer man just dies pretty. How about living pretty on the inside and maybe the character of a pretty person, a pretty spirit, an inner person who has been healed, who has been strengthened, who has been built up, will affect the outer man because they'll have a glow, a presence about them that is magnetizing, a presence about them that reveals that they are a child of the King. I like what Paul says, that we should be strengthened by might, by His Spirit, in the inner man. Don't ignore the outer man, but certainly don't ignore the inner man. This has been another installment of A Few Minutes with the Minister.